I'm originally from Penang, and I left Penang after Form 5. Further my education in Singapore, built by and large my entire career in Singapore for the last 20 years, and I've returned back to Penang 4 years ago. I've been fortunate enough to be part of, like what I've told CK as well, two startups that got acquired by bigger companies than them. That allows me to be back in Penang, and for the initial 3 years, I was a consultant to the state government, helping them to grow the startup ecosystem in Penang. So startups is my passion, technology is my passion, and as you heard from CK as well, design is very much my passion as well. And so, very early in my career, I was already kind of love design for the digital screens, but at that point in time, they don't call it user experience. At the time, UX is not even a term yet. What they call it is human factors interaction. So I got myself very much into that. But at the same time, because my background is technical, I was an application engineer for at least 2 years. That gives me a very good position to kind of expand my career into what we call product management. Product management is not project management, but it's about the life cycle of a product. So all the products that I handle is very much digital, customer front facing, for example, like your websites, like your application. So whatever that the user uses to interact with the product or the company. So I spent, by and large, most of my career in a product management role, or working very closely with engineers as well as designers. So I guess that gives you a very an idea about my background, and I guess I shall start what I'm going to present today, which actually is about the future of work. And specifically, I'm going to talk about why skills is extremely important nowadays, and not necessarily paper qualification. That it's always a debate, right? And increasingly so. If you were to do a Google search, right, more and more people are questioning the need of a degree. That's one, and them spending 4 years studying for a paper qualification, in which when they ended up with that degree, they do something that is entirely different. So it's ironic in a sense, and I think a lot of people don't talk about it. But I hope to be touching some of those points because as for Forward School, we feel very strongly about that, and that's why I started the school to address this issue as well. Okay. So for us, I'm going to start with a quote by Jeff Weiner, the CEO of LinkedIn. He says that what matters most is relevant skills. So here at Forward School, we kind of really believe that practical skills will matter more than your degree in the new economy, and that traditional education institutions might not necessarily be the best place to equip you for the future. The current coronavirus pandemic is an excellent example, that technology is and will be driving us forward. We are indeed in the midst of a profound social and economic transformation. If you have not already realized, I hope that after my sharing today, you realize how much more urgent that we need to be creators of technology and not just consumers, which I'll touch on much more later. Okay, so a bit about Forward School. So for us is that we are a revolutionary new technology and future skills school. We are based in Penang, Malaysia, that will help you build a career in technology, especially for aspiring tech professionals, right? And with industry-ready skills required for the fast-moving tech sector. We are quite specific in the sense that we focus on tech as well as future skills. So just to share a bit more, what do I mean by tech, right? Tech is basically your data science, your UX design, your including digital marketing as well, because we see that as future skills. And of course, how do we do that? What's our philosophy, right? So our philosophy is really driven by real world learning experiences that is developed in tandem with the companies or what we call hiring partners. We have around 18 hiring partners at the moment, and plus our faculty is powered by industry people or people who have worked quite a number of years and they join us as faculty. And all this is in an immersive environment. We have an integrated co-learning and co-living space. Co-living meaning that we encourage our students to live in. We have 17 studio apartments in a sense, comes with an attached toilet. And of course, for students, you can choose to share or you can choose to have your own unit. It's a row of 9 shop houses at the heart of Georgetown. Okay, so our vision is that being is not only important for you to be in the right program or even having the right lecturers to instruct you, but I think for us, the environment is extremely important as well. And a lot of what we do in Forward School is about building the like-minded community. All right. So without much further ado, even before I can share more on the future of work, right, I'm going to share a bit more on the challenges, right? Why do we exist? Why do we start Forward School for that matter? Right. So the first challenge that we see is that the future skills and tech talent gap is wider than you thought. Okay, it's more than a national issue. It's not a Malaysia only issue, but it's a global problem. And there are a lot of papers written about it, that there's just not enough talents to fill tech positions. Okay, there's a few reasons why. I think nowadays when universities talk about engineering or technology, in my humble opinion, a lot of times, we sell it in the sense that it's not in a very sexy way, right? And increasingly, research has also shown that people prefer business, people prefer marketing, but for us here at Forward School, we really think that the future is technology, and that irregardless of which sector that you are interested in, you can be in HR, you can be in law, you can be in medical, you can be in logistics or even psychology. We see that technology cuts across all industries and sectors, and therefore it is important, right? And I would like to quote on the slide, right, that KPMG surveyed over 3,000 technology leaders for their annual CIO survey, right, and found that 65% of them, right, that they can't really hire the right people. And that, with an estimated 1.4 million computing and engineering positions that needs to be filled, the skills gap is very much in need of closing, right? So even if with the university we are just not creating enough students, right, with the right skill sets and background. So that's the first challenge that we have, that we hope to solve. Second is, of course, technology roles are so challenging to fill, as traditional education institutions programs are not keeping up. Okay, and this is quite a known fact. And if you were to understand how traditional education institutions, for example, the time that they need to update a module, right, it's very long. And especially for technology, it's going to be very difficult for traditional education institutions to keep up. And to me, that's the fact, right? And especially if you're going to be spending 4 years, right, studying in university, by the time you come out, the technology is already, maybe I'm pretty sure that newer things are already out, right? So for us at Forward School, that's extremely important for us to equip you with. And that's also one of the reasons why we remain at this point in time unaccredited. Now, this is quite a, people always ask us, hey, are you accredited? Are you under MOE? Are you under the Ministry of Education and so on and so forth? So yes and no, but let me just explain a bit on that front, right? We intentionally chose not to really come under the Ministry of Education for the very reason that because we value speed, okay, and we value the fact that we can update our modules as and when we feel the need to. And to us, that's very important. To the industry, that's extremely important. And if you were to go out and talk to the industries themselves, they have found that they need on average 8 months to 1.5 months to retrain the students who are coming out of traditional education institutions. Okay, so that's money to them. Which is why later on I'll be sharing how we are working with the industry in our student sponsorship program. It's a 2-year program, but I'll touch more on that later. Okay, so that's the second challenge that we want to solve, and we believe that we have the solution to this, and I'll be sharing some of that later. But before I can dive into that, right, we'll need to understand and have a sense of what the future of work look like, right? So that it gives us a better context. So for us at Forward School, we believe that the future of work is about expertise and skills, not qualification. It's not about what you know, because you can go and attend lecture all day long, but that's just knowledge, but it's not applied knowledge, okay? So for us is that expertise and skills, not paper qualification, is sought after increasingly, right? I'm a hiring manager myself, but nowadays when I hire people, I don't necessarily look at their paper qualification, but I look, for example, if it's a tech position, I will look at their GitHub account, right? Because that will straight away show me what they have done rather than what they know, because that's what matters to me. And there are a lot of articles out there, like what I've kind of listed out here, right? And to name a few, these are the top ones. It's just only 2 days ago, right? Straits Times, the national newspaper of Singapore, written a very good article. It talks about it is skills that will count in the post-pandemic world of work. I would really advise you to read all of these articles, right? And even Elon Musk, his advice to the young and ambitious: skills matter more than degrees. And of course, we know that Google, Apple, and 12 other big tech companies, they no longer require employees to have a college degree. And of course, again, in Singapore, they are old, they are known to be very focused academically. But even right now, they feel that tertiary education has been over academized, and applied education is the way to go. Okay. So the next point I want to make, so we also believe that, in terms of the future of work, automation and the gig economy are radically changing how we work, right? So a study conducted by OECD, Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, estimated that about 14% of jobs across its members countries are highly automatable, okay? Meaning that potentially whatever that, as what is on the slides, potentially whatever that you're doing right now could be automated, right? And 32% will be radically transformed by technological progress. Okay, as we know, how is that related to the gig economy, right? I'm sure you have used Grab, right? So they have Grab Food. You use it for your food. You use it for your transportation, getting you to point A and B. And that's just one platform. And that really encourages the gig economy, right? All the riders, they are selling their time as per hour. No longer people, and I'm sure millennial nowadays are selling their time in chunks. Okay, that's their aspiration. They no longer think of work as in a 9 to 5, and I'm going to sell myself as a slave. So the future of work is changing because of automation, because of technology, and of course with the rise of the gig economy, right? So consider how the rise of the gig economy in recent years has really changed, the traditional work structure. And also, according to McKinsey, right, Global Institute, 20 to 30% of the working age population, right, is engaged in technology-enabled and on-demand independent work, a number that's expected to grow. I'm pretty sure some of you, you probably learn how to design online, and you're offering your, services online. You have platforms like Fiverr, you have where you can, offer your services online. You have platforms like Workable and many, many more, right? That you can sell your expertise and your skills. So while some jobs will become automated, we also believe that we also believe that there will be new markets that will be coming out, new markets, new industries, jobs will be created, right? So not all is lost, some of which those jobs we can't even imagine today. In this fast-paced economy, right? We feel that learning should be seen as a lifelong endeavor, right? For individuals at every stage of their career. It's no longer the case whereby you go to school, you go to a degree, and that's it, right? So if you have that mindset, that's what we call a fixed mindset. If you have that mindset, you'll not be able to survive in the world today. Okay. So what we need is what we call a growth mindset. Okay. So for us at Forward School, we constantly ask ourselves, how are we to adapt in order to provide the workforce the foundational competencies and skills they will need, what you will need to survive, not just to survive, but to thrive and be successful in this new economy, right? Both now as well as into the future. So in the next few slides, 3 more slides, I'm going to share 3 forward thinking that we are adopting in the school, in Forward School. Okay, so the forward thinking number 1, right? We must upskill to be creators of these new technologies, not mere consumers. So this is what we kind of really believe in. And on the slides, we have the top 10 emerging jobs that are coming out, by 2022, and then the top 10 declining jobs. As you can see, a lot of it is tech-based, right? So a lot of it is enabled by either directly or indirectly by technology. Okay, so I'm going to quote Dr. Schindler, who is the advisor to OECD. He says that Google knows everything these days. Okay, it's true, right? I'm sure every other day you use Google. He says that the knowledge economy pays you for what you can do with what you know. Okay, success is no longer about reproducing content, okay, and knowledge, but about extrapolating from what we know and applying that knowledge to novel situations. So what he's really saying is that it's access to knowledge is easy, right? You can actually, in fact, if you really want to do a degree, you can do a degree online, right? Places like Coursera, there are a lot of good online content, and they are, and they are done by, the content is from Harvard and the big Ivy League universities, right? You don't necessarily need to go to school to be knowledgeable. But what he's saying is that the important thing is that with the knowledge that you have, do you know how to apply them? And that's what we at Forward School kind of really believed in, right? It's not about how much you know, but the things that you know, do you have the hands-on skills to do it, right? Can you do it? So for us here, we focus on helping you to do stuff, to create, right? So, and when we talk about being creators, right, there are some specific skills that I note down that we are focused on training for, right? So first is we talk about data literacy, meaning the ability to derive meaningful info from data, right? So this is an important asset to have. Second is you need to be tech savvy, right? Technical skills will be required for any employees doing just about every job in the future. So they become very important. So you need to be tech savvy. So not only do people need to be comfortable around these tools, they'll need to develop skills to work with them. So that's what we focus on. Third is creativity and innovation. In order to create technology, you need to be creative and you need to be innovative, right? And as companies are always looking for workers who are able to, invent, imagine something new, and dream up a better tomorrow. So a lot of all this, because of how Forward School is structuring up the modules and the uniqueness of our Nitro degree, we focus a lot on these soft skills as well. Okay, so the next forward thinking is focus on human skills, not just digital competencies. That's what we do. Of course, we want to equip you, we want to teach you, we want to instruct you, we want to make sure that you know the things that you do. But at the same time, like what I've mentioned earlier, right? It's very important for schools to focus on soft skills, right? Or human skills for that matter. As 21st century students, you must learn how to approach problems from many perspectives, cultivate and exploit creativity, engage in complex communication, and leverage critical thinking. And my experience with local students is that a lot of them are lacking of this, right? They might be a bookworm, they might be very smart at what they do, but they cannot talk to people, right? So with a future of work that is constantly evolving, these human skills, for that matter, are very foundational, and it will only increase in value as more and more jobs get automated, right? So we are not just focusing on the tech skills and equipping you with the right mindset as well as the skills to do the job, but at the same time we value the soft skills as well, because and the way that we do it is we put you to work as early as possible. Real projects, real industry players, real communications, real project work. All right. So the third one, and I have my closing thoughts, is forward thinking number 3, which is Forward School Student Sponsorship Program. Okay, it is a new model of tech talent development for the private sector. What we believe in Forward School is that the private sector, the government, the educators, and the policy makers must work together to deliver multiple pathways, okay, to opportunities for people like you and me. Unfortunately, when I was growing up, there's no school. I mean, we started Forward School because we want to build the school that we envision, that I envisioned should have when I was young. And for me is that I think a new model needs to be created in tandem with the industries, and how we are working very closely with the industry is through this program. It's a newly established funding program that aims to create the next generation of innovators through investment in exceptional students. Okay, so we have approximately around 20 places for this. It's created with the industries in mind, together with the industries to build the talent pipeline that is needed. Now, this program is a 2-year program. It's what we call Nitro degree in Applied Software Engineering. It is offered by Forward School. At this point in time, we are working with the Jabatan Kemahiran Malaysia to make it into a level 4 diploma. Okay. And in these 2 years, you will be learning how to build web applications, front end, back end coding. You'll be learning how to build mobile applications. We'll be focusing a lot on Android applications. You'll be learning computer science. You'll be learning data science as well. And you'll be also learning UX and project management, product and project management skill sets. Okay. And because we are not directly under the Ministry of Education for that matter, we are able to focus on all of the essential modules. Okay, so your entire 2 years will be extremely intentional to help you build a career in technology. And what is unique about this 2 year program is that out of the 5 days of studying, you'll be studying 4 days a week in forward school, and the other day or 2 days of the week you will be working with your sponsoring company. Okay, so it's a work and study, and you'll be given stipend as well. And on top of that, what's going to happen at the end of the 2 years is that you will be guaranteed a job, with your sponsoring company with a minimum salary of 3,000 ringgit. And that's basically, nowadays, the starting salary for many 4 years degree graduates. Okay. And how we are able to do that, it's because of what we cover in our modules. Okay. If you'd like to find out more, I can share more a bit later. But if you were to compare our modules for that matter, okay, with any other modules outside, right, you will see the difference. And there's a reason why we name our program Applied Software Engineering. Now, this word applied in front, if you were to search for it, right, it's very unlikely that you'll find applied programs in Malaysia. There is, but there are not many. And the word applied is very important. Applied basically means hands-on, right? Lab-based, meaning you do it, right? Not so much about studying, not about textbooks-based education. So for us, applied equals to competency-based education, product-based education. So I hope that gives you an idea. So for us is that we, and because we are pretty much independent, we are able to experiment different modes of teaching, that it's not necessarily confined by any regulations for that matter. And one of the things that I would like to kind of really highlight, why we intentionally chose to be independent in that sense is because if all of the traditional education institutions, in order for a instructor to be teaching a degree student, they need to have a master's. Now, I have nothing against masters. In fact, I have a lot of friends who have masters. Our head of faculty have a master's as well as a PhD. But what I'm trying to say here is this, right? We do not want to limit our panel of instructors simply because they do not have a master's degree. A master's degree is a very academic endeavor. And for us, we are very much focused on hands-on and instructing hands-on skills. So for us, we don't believe that, if someone has an experience of 15 years, does that mean that they are not qualified to teach a degree student in a traditional education institution? So for us, it's no, not really. And we feel very strongly with that. So our instructors are all from the industry, and we have guest lecturers for that matter that really anchors our program. Okay, so that gives you a glimpse into what we are really about. And this is my last slide. So we are definitely towards a skills over degrees model, and we believe very strongly in that. And I would encourage you to read this article, right? It talks about, it is skills that will count in the post-pandemic world of work. If this entire, COVID-19 doesn't wake you up, I'm not sure what will. But while the degree still rules by and large, I'm very sure that some of parents out there, you still feel that a degree is very important, which is okay, right? And we still feel that some level of accreditation is important, which is why we are working with JKM, right? And the reason why we are working with JKM and MDEC for that matter is because we feel that path allows us the best of both worlds, right? The flexibility to be very industry driven, and at the same time getting the right accreditation that's needed to increase confidence, right? So by and large, degree still rules by and large, but we are really slowly seeing that the reality is moving towards a focus on acquiring skills, not degrees. So conventional thinking tells us that the surest route, right, to success in professional life lies at the end of a higher education degree, right? But as you know, that is no longer true. Okay, and I would like to quote social economist Philip Brown. Right, he wrote a book that's called "The Global Auction: The Broken Promises of Education, Jobs, and Incomes." Okay, he have argued that in his book, he have argued that conventional thinking that a degree equals higher earnings does not hold anymore. Okay, so for most companies, degrees obviously continue to function as a signaling device, but research have also shown, right, that education level is only very weakly correlated with job performance, right? You have a degree doesn't mean that you can perform in the job, right? You score very well academically doesn't mean that you'll survive in the real world, and there are a lot of research being done on that. So as for us at Forward School, my closing thoughts is that we believe that almost everything, right, developed for the 20th century workforce is being dissected, or I would rather say dismantled or reconstructed, right? And education is no exception, right? We acknowledged that the educational system and pathways of the future will be better served with a better model, right? An alternative model and a more innovative model. And for us here at Forward School, we are committed to that. So that sums up my sharing. And for those of you, who is seeking to build a career in technology, and our philosophy, if what you have heard from me for the past 1 hour, if you like what you hear, if you think that whatever that I'm sharing makes sense to you, I would encourage you to reach out to us, speak to me. We are here to really help you to build a career in technology that you can find fulfillment in, and we are here to fast forward your future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Howie. Thank you so much. Okay. All right, now, Howie, I think we have a question from Facebook Live here. Can you read the message that we'd like to answer? Chong Wei, in your opinion, what is the correlation between tech talents and the tech startup organization ecosystem? How do we grow the community and the ecosystem?
Okay, let me see.
Yeah, from Chong Wei, there's questions that came in. Yes.
Okay, so for us, I'm going to just speak specifically, for Penang, but I think it can also be applied for Malaysia in a sense. I think that there definitely is a correlation between tech talents and tech startups, for that matter. In the last 3 years, as I've mentioned earlier, I was consulting for the state government in the sense, and what we were doing is to figure out ways to grow the tech startups, right? To provide the right ecosystem. And what I've personally found out is that there is never a lacking in ideas. Everyone have a great idea, right? You and I have ideas, but we are always lacking of people who can build them. Because talking about an idea is one thing, but finding the people to be part of your team, to be part of your startups that can really execute on your vision, that is extremely hard to come by. And which is why that's also one of the reasons why, you know, I got into education. It's really because, you know, I used to have a development studio as well, a software development studio. It's just so hard to hire the right people, right? So there's definitely a correlation, and I believe that yes, the education system in a way needs to change, needs to be much more applied, in order for us to see a growth in tech startups. Because if you don't have the doers, you have no startups for that matter. Okay, I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Howie. Okay, I think Ann Tai commented that so colleges university have to back up the business reinvent itself. Yes, that's why I think your forward school is doing, isn't it? I think that's the comment only. And then we have another one say that kena bertindak cepat. Yes, that's why sometimes that's what we are here for, that to have all these informations that, well, the industry, especially the industry, that what you are doing, that's what you are here for. Now, we have still a bit of time, probably another 6 minutes. I have a question for you, Mr. Howie.
Sure,
okay.
sure.
All right. It's interesting that you share about the neuro degree and then the essential module. Okay, that within 2 years you complete. I'm not sure where they get it. I just want to repeat. And then it's actually a sponsored, they are sponsoring company that will take these students to work for 1-2 days in a week. Am I right? The classes is only 4 days.
Correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
So our engagement with the industry, yes, our engagement with the industry and the students with the industry is going to be very close in a sense, which means that from, you know, day one, they will sort of, you know, get to know the culture of the company. And because indirectly the company is sort of already committed in hiring them. It's just that what we are doing is that we are fast forwarding their working life in a sense, and as early as possible, we want to expose them to the real world.
Yeah, that's interesting. And it's job guarantee. Well, I don't think colleges are there to put this word down. You guarantee a job. So, yeah, and I noticed that I think one of the reasons you can guarantee a job, personally, when I listened to you correctly just now, you mentioned you only take 20 students for this program. Am I right?
We only have 20 students for this student sponsorship program.
Oh, okay.
For this sponsorship program, obviously, if you want to pay outright, you can.
Ah, I see. Okay. Yes. So these 26 are selected one, I believe. They have to go through some interview, all those kind of things.
Yes, they have to take our aptitude test, which is basically a test that we developed in-house. That will it won't test you about coding and all that, but it tests your aptitude.
Yeah, correct. Okay, all right. So there is a process have to go through before they are being selected into this program, isn't it?
Yes.
That's why. Yes. That's the reason you are actually guarantee all the students for the job.
Yes, correct.
That's interesting. Okay, and with the pay that you also announce here, tell the students in advance that will be your salary when you finish the 2 years program with you.
Yes, that will be committed to you as well. So how we are approaching education is that it's intentional and purpose fit in that sense.
Okay, interesting. So because you are not bonded by the so-called Ministry of Higher Education or whatsoever, that's why you mentioned just now, and your degree is neuro degree. Just curious, when the students join this program, do they have to have a prerequisite? For example, they must have finished SPM,
yes, they need to have an SPM, and obviously the basics is they need to pass, you know, their English and their mathematics. So that's the basic. But what we are really looking for is, and the only requirement why we need it to be SPM is that just shows whether you comprehend things or not. But what's more important for us is actually our aptitude test.
Okay, all right. Okay, interesting. So this sponsored program neuro degree, how much did it cost? Or when they are sponsored, that means they don't pay. Can you elaborate
so
a bit further?
If they are selected to be sponsored, it will start as a free interest loan by the company. But if you do well during the course of the 2-year study, it will automatically convert it to a sponsorship. Okay, but irregardless, the job guaranteed is if you are selected, is definitely a go ahead. Meaning you'll be graduating with a pay of at least 3,000 ringgit. So that's what we are doing. Yeah.
So students out there, parents out there, if you hear this, okay, listen, you want to be in IT, you think that the traditional education system, that instead of going through the 4 years degree, you want to jump into tech. Am I right? It's always jump into tech in 2 years' time. You do well, you pay nothing, and you got a job guarantee with 3,000 ringgit. Wow, excellent. Okay,
actually that's what some of the European countries are doing, which is much more focused on hands-on skills.
Exactly. Yeah. We really need more.
I think Timothy here have an interesting question.
Yeah, let's address the last questions before we end the sessions. Okay. Yeah.
Right. So Timothy is saying, if people who have invested thousands and hundreds of thousands to obtain a degree, and we cannot be sure that they can perform after 4 years of formal study, how can a couple of short courses address that? So Nitro degree is not necessarily a couple of short courses. So that's our virtual classroom. So we do offer, short courses, but that's primarily for existing workforce to upskill themselves. So we do have workshops ranging from 2 hours to a few days to 4 months. So that's what we call a boot camp, right? But those are primarily for what we call lane changers, people who wants to switch careers or pick up something new in a short amount of time, and they are working, they can do that, right? So for the Nitro degree in applied software engineering, that's different. That's 2 years, okay? And we believe that if you look at it, it is actually a 4 years program. It's just that you will only be in school for 2 years, in a sense. The other 2 years, because we'll send you out to work, in a sense, right? If you are part of the student sponsorship program, because you will have a bond of 2 years with your sponsoring company. So what we are saying is that 2 years is actually sufficient, okay, to give you the foundations and what you need to thrive. But what we really believe in is you learn much more while at work. That's what we believe in. Yeah.
Okay. So exactly
that
European
education answers the question.
Yeah. Definitely. I think that's what as you mentioned, European education system is blended together with the applied knowledge. That's the key word.